So just like we did on part B, multiply the coefficients. 2 times 3 is 6. X squared times x is x to the third power. Y won't change. And for your next term, 2 times -1 is -2. The x squared is going to stay the same, and y times y makes y squared. Again, your variables do not have the same exponents, so you cannot combine those terms. It's just going to stay 6x cubed y minus 2x squared y squared. Okay, we did one just like part D on page 6, so I'm not going to work that one right now. Technically, it's just like part E, but I'm going to do part E with you real quick. 3x times 2x is going to be 6x squared. 3x times -7 is -21x. 5 times 2x is 10x. And 5 times -7 is -35. There's an x there. Sorry. On this one, I do have like terms right there in the middle. So I'm going to combine my like terms for my final answer of 6x squared minus 11x minus 35. What does this 2 up here mean? Squared. What does it mean when you square something? You multiply it by itself. So this really means 3x plus 4 times 3x plus 4. And when we multiply all of that out, we will not get 9x squared plus 16. So if all you do is distribute this 2 this way, you will get the wrong answer because you'll be missing a whole term in the middle. So be careful that you don't do that. That is like the #1 mistake people make on these. So when we multiply this out, 3x times 3x is 9x squared. 3x times 4 is 12x. 4 times 3x is 12x. And 4 times 4 is 16. Again, you have like terms right there in the middle. So you're going to end up with 9x squared plus 24x plus 16. Okay, on this next one, we're only going to do part G and part I. We're going to skip question H for the sake of time. Why is part G a little scary? Does it have a lot of stuff there that you get to multiply? On this one, I'm actually going to show you a way that you can arrange your work that will make it a little bit easier. You don't have to do it this way, but I think it helps keep your paper organized to where you can actually see what you're doing. So first, I'm going to distribute that 2x to all of these terms. So 2x times 3x squared is what? 6x cubed. 2x times x. 2x squared. Thank you, Abby. And then 2x times -6. 2 times 6 is 12, so minus 12x. Okay, when I distribute this -3, because that's my next thing I'm going to do, I'm actually going to write the terms underneath on the next line. So I'm going to do -3 times 3x squared. And since it's going to be an x squared term, I'm going to put it underneath the other x squared term. So -9x squared Negative 3 times x is negative 3x, which is an x term. So I'm going to put it underneath that x term. And then negative 3 times negative 6 is positive 18. So if you remember way back in the day when you first learned to add, you probably stacked your terms on top of each other and added that way, right? Same thing here. We're going to combine our like terms, and now they're easier to see because they're right on top of each other. So you have 6x cubed minus 7x squared minus 15x plus 18. So if something to the second power meant that you multiplied it by itself twice, something to the third power, you're going to multiply it by itself 3 times. Now when some people see this, they panic and they're like, oh no, there's 3 sets of parentheses, and then they go crazy and do math that does not make sense. Okay, so I'm going to teach you a trick. You ready? I'm going to pretend this one doesn't exist. So I'm totally going to ignore it for a minute. We'll come back to it, but for now, we're pretending it doesn't exist. This looks like a problem that you can handle, right? It's not scary. So go ahead and multiply those 2 out, completely ignoring this first one. You should get to where x squared plus 10x plus 25 is what you have. Is that what you got? Okay, but we can't ignore this x plus 5 forever. So what we're going to do is we're going to put that expression you got in parentheses, and we're going to bring this one that we ignored, and we're going to put it back in front. Now this problem right here looks exactly like what we started with on part G. So it is more work, like you have to keep going. This is not your final answer, but now it looks a little bit more manageable because you know that you can already do this one. So go ahead and finish that one out, and then we'll check it together here in a second. Should get x cubed plus 15x squared plus 75x plus 125. Still feeling okay about algebra 2? Okay. We're going to move on to pages 8 and 9. Page 8 is pretty simple. Okay, if this doesn't fit this way, you can turn it sideways. If you don't want to cut, if you don't want to mess with cutting it, you can turn it sideways, that's fine. So what you're gluing in on page 8 is it's a flow chart that I made because I like to have things just organized in a certain way. That's just how my brain works. So if at any point in the rest of this unit you're like, man, I don't know how to factor this problem, this is where you're going to start, okay? So it works just like any other flow chart. You start at the top. So the first thing you're going to look for is factor by GCF. Then you're going to look to see how many terms there are. And this is all the stuff that I'm going to teach you over the next few weeks. So I'm not going to go into all of the things. But I just want you to know this is where you go if you get stuck. So if you're like, I have no idea what to do with this, this is where you go. This is like your sounding board. It's your step-by-step. It'll tell you where to start. So, having said that, we're going to move on to page 9. Helps if it's not upside down. So all the things that we've done up until page 8 in your notebook is we have been simplifying expressions. We've been taking them from whatever form they're given to you in, and we're making them as simple as possible. So we're taking out all the parentheses. We're trying to get a nice, simplified, pretty answer, okay? Factoring is where you take that process and you go the other way. So they're going to give you a simplified, distributed, beautiful expression, and you're going to go backwards. You're going to end up at that unsimplified, undistributed version. So to factor really means to undistribute. And I don't know that that's actually a word, so we're just going to call it. And in this space right here, you're going to write yourself a note that you always factor out a GCF first if possible. Does anybody remember what GCF stands for? Greatest common factor. That's correct. Okay, so for an example of a factored version, that would look something like what you've seen on the past few pages. So 2x squared times, in parentheses, x minus 4. Okay, the distributed version of that's when you distribute that term in front and you end up with a simplified version of that same expression, right? Which you should all know how to do at this point, right? So go ahead and distribute and put the distributed version over here. So hopefully you got 2x cubed minus 8x squared. Yes? Ooh, good. Okay, now we're going to try to go the other way. So if I give you 15x squared minus 5x plus 30. Is there something that you can take out of all of those terms? 5, right? They're all divisible by 5. So if I take out a 5 and put it in front, what do I have left? It's going to be 3x squared, because 15 divided by 5 is 3, minus x plus 6. Okay, so notice your factored version has parentheses. Your distributed version does not. What about this one? 2x squared minus 4x. What can you take out of the 2x squared minus 4x? What can come out of both terms? 2 and x, right? So if you divide out your 2x, because we're undistributing or unmultiplying, which means divide, 2x squared divided by 2x is just x. 4x divided by 2x is 2. Go ahead and do those last two examples. Jonathan, what did you get as your distributed version for this one? 15x minus 10. Very nice. And then who else can I pick on? Patty, what did you get for this one? 5x squared plus 20x. Very nice. Okay, then our last page page of notes for the day, because this is all we will have time for. Page 10. And it's going to be that next page in your sleeve. While you're getting that ready, I'm going to run and get something off the copier. I'm going to go ahead and get a composition of this and go take my thing. Okay, so on this first one, we're looking for the greatest common factor with all of those terms. Okay, so let's take it a piece at a time. So what number will go into 24, 9, and 12? 3. So we're going to take out 3. So this first one has x to the 4th power. This one has x cubed, and this one has x cubed. So what's the most that they all have? X cubed. So we're going to take out an x cubed. And then how many y's can I take out? Just 1. So this factors 3x cubed y. And then in this box, we're going to put whatever we have left after we divide that out. So 24 divided by 3 is 8. X to the 4th divided by x cubed is just x. And then y divided by y goes away, right? What about my next term? 9 divided by 3 is negative 3, thank you. X cubed divided by x cubed goes away. How many y's do I have left? 2, right? Y squared. Then for the last term, negative 12 divided by 3, negative 4. The x's cancel, and we're left with 1y. Okay? We'll do one more together, and then I'll let you do the rest, and we can check them. Okay, so on the next one, what number goes into 24, 18, and 2? 2. How many x's can I take out? None, because this last term doesn't have an x, so you can't take out an x. How many y's can we take out? Just one. So 2y. And then we're going to divide each one of these. So 24 divided by 2 is 12. The x squared will not change. And then the y will cancel out. Plus 18 divided by 2 is 9. The x will stay. What about the y squared? It'll just be a y. What's negative 2 divided by 2? Negative 1. And y divided by y is 1. So even though the whole thing cancels, you still have a 1 there. That 1 is your placeholder. Okay? Go ahead and do 3, 4, and 5. I'm going to pass out this assignment. We did not get through all of the notes that I was hoping for today, so you're only going to be able to do the front. So don't look at it and panic, but there's a lot of questions. Okay, so there are the answers if you want to check them.
Teachers, please pardon the interruption. I need to see the following students in the office.